for anybody who's listening, whether it's your relationships, your family, your work, your dream career, or kind of literally any part of your life that matters to you, we are here to use information from the Black Belt Mind, which is something Dana has created to help you plan your way forward in a way that works for you. And then information, stories, and a technique we call NAP to help you clear out the crap from the past. So it's very simple. It's just we want to help you. So my standard disclaimer is I'm a TCM practitioner, so that does change how I see and talk about things. And also, since right now I am just a disembodied voice on the radio, anything I say isn't medical advice. And let's talk about getting people unstuck.
Let's.
So I feel like it's been a long time. It's so nice to hear your voice, Nicole, because I feel like it's been a long time.
Isn't it weird? Even the 2 weeks feels weird for you guys.
It really does. Honestly,
and it doesn't, consider that because I don't get that feeling for most shows. Like sometimes, like the monthly shows, like they feel like they're almost weekly. So there's something up with you guys. There's something up.
Yeah,
It's got to be here, man.
yeah. I mean, we certainly that what's up could be part of how much we enjoy this.
Oh, best part of the
and
week.
how much we look forward to it too.
So
Maybe that's what you're picking up on,
right?
So yeah, that weekly aspect does feel more and more.
Think about it.
Alive.
Think about it. Yeah, I don't know what it is, but it just makes it. Well, here's the thing. As you know, nobody even joins us until they get an intuitive private invite from me. Like I don't advertise there's on, nothing. And everything is about the energy here and everything is about the frequency. So frequency of your show is the energy. So yeah, I don't know. Something's up. That's all I can say.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you.
We agree.
Yeah. And I think some of it is just the work that we've been doing for so long now. And what's so exciting is saying it to new people and hearing them get it,
right?
And hearing their questions and hearing getting the feedback of people saying, hey, this changed. And all I did was this thing that you mentioned or you had to do, or
see, that's
I don't even know.
From the very first day I went on the air, this was not planned. It was not scripted. I literally had a little script in my hand. I was on C-Fun Radio, right? And this guy was like, never go on the air with a script. So I had a script and my upstairs team let me read like halfway through the first sentence and then I was blind. So I had to just, tap up, right?
Yep.
To keep going. And that was the words that came out of my mouth. Life-changing talk radio from the uplifting to the unexplained. Came out of nowhere, but that's literal, right? What you're bringing is literally life-changing. Literally.
Thank you.
That's why we're together.
Amazing.
Ta-da!
Yeah, I agree.
Isn't it? Oh, I love
it. It feels more right to the point where we don't think you can feel any more right. And then it just feels more right than that.
Right? So. I'm excited. Sorry, I'll try to shut up.
No,
you go. Okay. You talk.
How dare you say nice things?
No. I remember C-Fun Radio.
Oh, do you remember that? Okay,
I do.
One fun fact. We covered it. We literally started. Okay, somehow I manifested Danny Brinkley out of thin air. Do you know who that is?
I do.
Famous dead guy, kept getting sizzled by lightning and coming back from death and building hospice centers. And suddenly he's my co-host and we're on C-Fun. And we literally covered up the Art Bell show, Saturday nights, 10 p.m. Do you remember Art Bell?
I do very much. I used to listen to C-Fun all the time. I still have a toque that I won from a radio contest on C-Fun when I was 10 years old.
Wow.
Still have it. It was sponsored by Sunripe. Juice, the apple juice. And I used to get I got like a month supply of free Sunripe and this
awesome.
And this toque because I was the first caller to call in and answer a question. So you're going right back to my childhood with C-Fun.
Wow.
I have to think about it. I can't remember exactly. It was something about the BC Lions or something. Something about football, I think.
What's
So it was right
funny,
in my
I
wheelhouse.
used to go in late at night, right? Because we covered up our bill. So nobody was in the CFUN offices, so they couldn't control me back then.
Right.
And so
That was by design.
I know, right? Because
I
they
designed
were
for sure.
very much into control, and I would literally just drag tons of people in there. And we just had one pimple-faced teenager running the board, and that was it. And then
Yep.
nobody else was around. Oh God, it was good times.
14
Good
C
times.
fun. I used to love it when I was a kid. Listen to it all the time.
Anyway, you go. Okay, your turn.
So tonight we're going to follow up on what we talked about last time, the homework about reframing everything to neutral. And then it doesn't sound, see, it's so exciting in my head. And we have
pretty exciting.
We have these conversations. We're going to talk about the difference between reacting and responding.
Oh, yes.
And
the space in between.
And the space in between. So the homework that we talked about from last week, which I've been playing with more and more, and I've been playing with it.
Notice that you said last week. Just say.
Oh, right? Yeah.
See?
I know. Holy cow, man! I know it's all over the place. I'll tell you, it's everywhere we turn.
Oh,
weekly.
Sorry.
So no, it's
awesome.
I'm making notes.
Love it. It's great.
So we had talked about this idea of reframing everything to neutral. And
yeah, which I love.
You're right. The beauty of the space it gives you in your head when you do that. And part of the really interesting thing and part of the feedback that we've been getting from people is just that simple act. So I was driving to work the other day and I may have been incredibly late. And this truck driver is pulling out of the tile place up the road and he looks at me and he sees me. And then he just pulls out right in front of me in the slowest pull out ever with his double tractor trailer. And he's going about 10. And then he creeps forward. So we miss the light. And then he creeps forward. So we mix the next light. And I hear myself saying out loud, no, it's fine. You don't have to follow the rules of the road. It's fine. You're more important than I am, sir. And besides, it's not like I had the right of way or anything. And then I went, okay, neutral. And so, the statement was, this gentleman has pulled his truck out in front of me.
Yeah.
And even just that space, it's so nothing, but having that space. And every time my brain tried to make a story about it, it went back to, nope, he pulled his truck out. That's all. He pulled his truck out. And now it's slower. And it gave me the space. And I heard the little voice in my head go, yeah, he was coming up a hill, so he might not have been able to stop. I went, oh yeah, that might be true. And my brain was going, yeah, well, he thinks he's more important because he's a guy driving a truck. And I went, that's not a statement, that's a thought. And I thought, he may be running late himself. He may be panicking. He might be trying to get home because his kid's sick. And I don't know. So if I was going to be 5 minutes late for setting up my office and now I'm 10 minutes late for setting up my office, it doesn't really matter. And people are coming back with all these stories of, oh, I've just got more quiet in my head. I'm not as upset about the things that would upset me before. And that's part of what we do when we're doing NAP is we give people a reframe for bigger swaths of their life. And that's where we're going to lead this into reacting versus responding. And I'm now going to point at Dana and, as I often do, say something smart.
I hope you never lose that bet anytime soon. I will certainly say what's honest. I certainly hope that it's useful and relatively smart, but I'll always tell you the truth in my experience. So from, what I would call the black belt mind perspective, we're always trying to find ways to make big concepts manageable, bite-sized, and practical so that we can apply them in the real world, and we can apply them especially when we're under pressure. So when I think about this idea of neutrality, right? And what does that mean? The space between a reaction and a response is that neutral space. Yep. And the way that it comes to mind for me to make it really practical is to say to yourself, no matter what's going on, no matter what set of conditions that you're in, what would happen? How would I feel? How might this be different if I didn't take what was happening around me right now personally? Right? What would happen if I just looked at this as something that wasn't solely about me? Okay?
Yeah.
And that's that space of difference between a reaction and a response. And generally speaking, I loosely kind of describe in a practical way a reaction as being full of emotion,
Yes.
and a response is full of thought.
Yep.
Right? And when you can have a reaction and then respond to your reaction, then we're really, really opening up that space of neutrality that says, I'm allowed to feel what I feel in the moment that I feel it, but I'm also allowed to understand what it's trying to tell me and have a thought about that and then speak that thought.
Mm.
Okay. And that space kind of addresses our ability to recognize that there's all this creative potential between something that is no longer a situation before it becomes the next situation that it's going to turn into. And it feels to me, as I share this with people and apply it myself all the time in my life, that really when we're talking about co-creating with our environment, when we're talking about co-creating with the people around us, with the conditions around us, with, let's dare I say, the universe at large, the idea of being able to understand that your reaction has a value, that your neutrality has a value, and that your response has a value, and that all three of those things put us in the most powerfully grounded, co-creative mindset with any set of conditions that we encounter, that it's probably really useful to like dig into that and understand that a little bit. And so those basic building blocks of a reaction being full of emotion, and we can talk about more what that means as well too, and a response being full of thought, become really powerful markers for you to tell where you are in any given situation and what's potentially going to lead your decision making and your action. If you're full of emotion, you know that you're pretty well feeling reactionary at that moment, and that all that means is that you can only choose to do what you perceive as being done to you. So if someone comes up and pushes you, well, the only thing you can do when you're full of emotion and reactive is push them back. Whereas that neutral space that we cross over into, that allows us to land in a place where we can recognize with enough awareness that we're actually full of thought, that tells us that we're in a responsive mindset. And that's the space that says, somebody just pushed me. I wonder why. And in that split second is all the difference in the world between how we are just the effect of our environment or how we retain the choice to be cause in our environment. And that's where that idea of co-creation comes in. No one's saying that we have to deny that we've been triggered by something and that we feel full of emotion by something that's happened to us and we're reactive to it. But we don't also have to negate the fact that if we choose to, and that's the active word, choose, if we choose to ask ourselves the question in that moment, hey, is this thing really about me? In other words, that person just pushed me. Is it really about me? Did they push me because of what I did or didn't do? Or is there another, even one more other possibility that we can connect to when we stop long enough to ask the question, the opposite question, which is, what if that wasn't about me at all? And allow ourselves to have a thought and then to speak that thought in order to stay in present time communication with our environment and anybody in it.
Can I add a layer to that?
Of course, I would expect you to.
So what Dana said, plus, there's to me an oddly celebratory aspect of reacting and then understanding why you reacted. And part of that is because we have reactions because of things that have happened in the past that have hurt or scared us. So when we are reacting, yes, we are responding to an old trauma trigger, but we are also responding because we survived the old trauma. And I don't think we celebrate nearly enough how fantastic that is, that we managed to survive a trauma. And when we give ourselves the space to listen to what we learned, but not only listen to that as the only option, I think one of the reasons that people will often stop themselves from responding is because part of their brain goes, but if you start questioning this, you're going to start questioning everything. And then if they're not at fault, then it's got to be you who's at fault. And we don't want to blame ourselves, and we don't want to have everything we've done collapse. So we just stay with our old triggers and our old reactions.
Mm.
And when we can celebrate the fact that we survived, whether it was something that actually might have ended us, or if it was something that felt threatening to our nervous systems and someone was yelling, whatever it is, then we don't have to be ashamed of our reactions anymore. We don't have to redo our entire life. We just celebrate, change gears, accept, move on. And
So simple.
right.
Easy peasy.
Yeah, right.
Not always easy, but definitely not a complicated mechanism.
I thought you were going to say not always easy, but definitely peasy.
Yeah,
Oh,
I did too.
See, if I was on it, I
Awesome.
would have. That's awesome. That was super cool.
Because when you look at those numbers, even and this applies to men as well, it's just the numbers are different. When they say that 1 in 4 women has been assaulted in their lifetime, I don't believe that number. From what I see in the clinic, it's 2 in 4, 3 in 4, 8 out of 10, 9 out of 10. It's a high number, and getting through that and becoming more powerful as a result of that, I want to celebrate that every day.
Pretty worthy of celebration.
Yeah. And then you think of the people who have survived really tough childhoods and the people who've had an abusive boss, and the people who didn't feel loved when they were a kid, and so they're reacting all over the place out of fear from then. Well, yeah, you're not going to choose the same response if your reaction started when you were 5 and it was a great reaction for a 5-year-old, but it might not be the best thriving response for a 20 or 40 or 80-year-old. So that is my adjunct to your very smart thing to say.
Well, I wish, and it was awesome, and I wish I had said the next quote that I was going to share.
The peasy thing.
That's totally yours, trademarked. You get to rock that. I will spread the gospel of it all over the place. But I think of consistently in this work, somebody that's been a real inspiration to me, but Viktor Frankl, Dr. Viktor Frankl, who wrote the book Man's Search for Meaning. Oof. Yeah. And
so powerful.
Incredible. Yeah. And still to this day moves me and is so powerful on a regular basis. Yep. Every time I refer to it or touch back into it, I'm like, I learned something even more resonant and moving just about him or about how his thinking or about his experience.
Look at the depth he was coming through life and death, torture, like the worst shit. And this is always where I'm at, is how do you apply this in amidst the worst shit?
That's
Not when it's easy, but when it's fucking dark and evil and horrific, right? Then we step at our power.
Yeah, that's where his retelling of his experiences.
Yes.
He was literally living in hell on earth.
Literally, yep.
And had to constantly accept that reality. Like, this is pure evil. This is hell. And we, as human beings, and the people that are perpetuating this, have created it. We chose hell. right now, and here we are in it. And to be able to
Constantly questioning why, but yes, do go on.
right, yeah, right. I mean, come on, yeah, talk about age-old existential question to the maximum. And yet he found ways to be able to genuinely say things like, in the space between stimulus and response lies choice. And choice is our transcendent power. And for him to be able to say that, that he had to have been forced to find the light in every dark corner that he was
darkest
faced
freaking
with,
place.
right?
Yeah.
And I remember
I relate to. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Right. Hallelujah to that. Like, where he's retelling a story of where, he was being forced by the Nazi soldiers, because he was a doctor, to essentially help them pick out healthy specimens for scientific experimentation, as they called it.
Yeah.
And he just refused to, because he said that goes against my oath as a doctor and a healer. I just won't do that. And they threatened him and tortured him, and said they were going to kill people if he didn't do it. And he just stayed in control of himself enough of his choice to say, well, you're going to kill those people anyway, and I'm not going to be a party to it. That he got so despairing and so overwhelmed by the darkness that he was surrounded by, that he retells a story by the fence, and just nothing but this bleak, horrible picture. He said it was gray and just despairing. And he saw out in the field outside of the fence a bloom of some kind, whether it was I can't remember if it was a flower exactly, but something with some color in it. And that thing stood out to him so much that it caught him and stopped him in his tracks. And he just focused on that and the vibrancy of it, the color of it, and the idea of, if all this color could exist in this little shape in the field of all this gray drab bleakness, then it's the thing that I'm going to focus on. And to build upon that and to say, okay, well, there's a little bit of light in this darkness there. I'm going to look for a little bit more, and I'm going to look for a little bit more, and I'm going to look for a little bit more. I mean, I'd recommend anybody diving into Viktor Frankl if they haven't before, because he talked about how he transcended that hell he was in by simply remembering that he could choose to see light, even if it was a little bit, wherever he was, in whatever environment he was, whatever situation he was in. And it strengthened him into, no matter what the conditions were, finding kindness wherever he could, to the point where he actually, even as much as he could have in that environment, like befriended some of the Nazis guards, who then like listened to him, because they just could not deny the courage and the power of the light in his humanity. And so he didn't react with despair. He started to respond with determination that said, no matter what my body's going through, I'm going to remember that there is more than this in existence, and it's called light. I'm going to look for it no matter what. I'm going to respond every time, no matter how much people react to me. I'm just going to do my best to respond to them with as much light as I possibly can. And there was nothing weak or soft about that. It was tremendous in terms of its strength and power. And he exhibited it because of the courage that he mustered to not go into agreement with the despair that was being forced upon him and that was all around him.
Like, who would have the strength to do that? Literally. I mean, it's right up there with forgive them for they know not what they do on the cross. I mean, it's right up there, right?
Yeah.
But he found a way to make it practical, because he thought, well, the only other choice I have is complete oblivion and despair.
Yeah.
And he got to a place where he was able to speak about how him despairing was not easing anybody's suffering. So that's why he chose not to do it. And then in choosing not to do it, and in choosing to address and accept and soothe the suffering of other people, he soothed his own suffering. So there was just this momentum that built that allowed him to continue, no matter how difficult the conditions were, to continue to rise above. And the thing that's powerful about that, so profoundly to me, is that there was no denial of any of the things that were horrendous and dark and despairing and evil. He wasn't pretending. He accepted those things, but it's in the acceptance that the value.
That's the depth. It was
right
and real, authentic, deep.
You absolutely, Nicole. You said it. It's. I mean, I know. I can tell we're both in the vibe of that right now, right? I'm just going, wow. Okay, we're talking about something here now, because to me, from a black belt mind perspective, if it doesn't hold up under the pressure test of the real world and the real things going on in the world, I'm moving on and looking for the next thing.
Yep. Yeah.
Well, and it keeps making me think of Maya Angelou, because right, her poetry is so celebratory and so powerful, and even people who don't like poetry get lit up when they hear some of the things that she's written. And this is coming from her background of well, everybody's selling themselves anyway, so I'll just become a sex worker and at least make some money at it. And because at the time, as a young Black woman and where she was born and brought up, she didn't have a ton of choices. And then she decided to give herself choices. She decided to start responding differently. And so she kept choosing, right? I'm going to be a dancer. I'm going to start writing. I'm going to become a reporter. She learned like a West African language because she was a reporter overseas for so long. And I'm going to start writing poetry. I'm going to do this thing that could never have been logically looked at as useful when she was a teenager, and she chose it anyway. And she didn't bury and hide any of the stuff that she'd done. She talked quite openly about it, saying, well, if I can make different choices, anybody can make different choices. You can have as hard a life as you've had and still choose differently and still choose who you are. And all of those moments, I mean, that's what makes her work powerful. And that's why people who don't care about poetry care about Maya Angelou. And all we need is that one moment, right? That one moment of choice. And we say it all the time to people. Feelings are really important, but they're not facts. You want to listen to them. You want to get the information from them. You want to decide what to do with that information. But so often we battle each other on my feelings are truer than your feelings, as if somehow we can eventually decide that one of those feelings is a fact, and it never will be. And it's in those moments that, I mean, you can stop an argument really quickly if you don't get pulled into your feelings. Now, when you're in the middle of an argument, I mean, Dana and I never fight ever, so it doesn't.
Because I'm a delight.
You took my line.
You can be the magic sparkly one this time.
Okay, fine. It's, and the simple things aren't always easy. It's not always easy when you've been triggered and had a button pushed to not react. But just like the reframe to neutral homework, the space you get in your head and in your life once you start doing that is immense. And the information you find out is immense. How you doing?
Great. I thought you were continuing, and I didn't want to interrupt you.
I know I was going to keep going, but then I feel like I'm waxing poetic, and
Wow, you're doing a great job, and we both are, because this is a pretty powerful discussion, as we're used to with Nicole, and super crucial, right? Like, this is really at the heart of everything that we're offering and trying to do and practice ourselves. It's really, and I sum it up again, I try to put it in simple terms so that it's easy to remember, because we need to remember under pressure, and simple is the easiest to remember under pressure. Like you said, Nicole, it's all great and it's all wonderful to think about freedom and choice and response when we're full of light and everything's going our way. But it's when the rubber really hits the road and we hit hard resistance, and things are dark and things are difficult, that we really need to pull on these same concepts and ideas that we're talking about to get us through those. And one of the things I say to remind people of that is the power of the pause. There's tremendous power in pausing for a moment, to have a thought, to take a breath, to think things through to another level. It doesn't have to be all figured out in the moment, but even just interrupting your own pattern of reaction is powerful, and pausing long enough to say, wait a second, because at the heart of all of this is the another kind of practical saying that I didn't come up with it, but I certainly say it to people all the time, that hurt people, right? We could translate that into this language that says reactive people react. And the idea that,
or people who have been reacted at react.
Absolutely, right? And so it's a dwindling spiral that's endless unless somebody has the courage in that dynamic to step up and hit the pause button. Literally use the power of the pause and just say, wait a second, is this the only option that we have here? Is this the only alternative that we have, which is to ping pong back the force of our judgmental egos off of each other till one of us gives up, till one of us just collapses from exhaustion? It's very difficult. And this I've know as true as my foot on the end of my leg from martial arts training. It's very, 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 very difficult to pick a fight with someone who does not have any desire to fight you. And it's powerful too, because the person's not cowering. The person's not overwhelmed and collapsing from, the aggressor's desire to fight. In fact, I've seen it happen so many times where no matter what that aggressor does or threatens, that the person says, well, something along the lines of, okay, I'm not here to control you, and I can't control you. I'm not even going to bother wasting energy trying to control you, but I'm letting you know that I'm not going to react to your invitations to fight. So if you want to keep expending energy there, I'm just going to remove myself, or I'm going to step aside every time you make that kind of ingress to attack me, but I'm not going to fight you. And it's profound to watch how that impacts the aggressor.
Yeah, it doesn't mean you're not going to keep yourself safe.
Yeah, there's a big difference between collapsing and letting the bully just steamroll you.
Yep.
Or staying full in your presence and grounded and letting a person know that while you're not going to let them harm you, you're not going to get into agreement that the only way for you to do that is to harm them. Yeah. And that's that difference between reacting and responding. That person who's aggressing is full of emotion. The person who's responding is full of thought, and they are a step ahead every time because they can have a thought about what it is that is motivating this person to act in the manner that they do. And if you do that with enough consistency, and it doesn't necessarily take very long, because I think it's innately powerful to all human beings, you'll realize that that aggressor that's trying to pick that fight is afraid. They're motivated by fear. They're driven by their what they're afraid of. And the power of that recognition transforms how you look at everything.
Yes.
I can already hear the conversations in my head with people that are going, but I don't know what else to choose. So I think we need to address that, because I want to say, even choosing, I don't know what else to choose, but I'm giving myself a moment, is a great choice.
Oh, it's the best.
Because we often feel like we need to have a plan if we're going to choose something differently. And we really don't. We just need to give ourselves some space in our heads. There was a gentleman, I will use the term somewhat loosely, who worked in an office near one of our clinics, and we used to park in our parking spot all the time that we needed for our clients. And so I just went down one day because I was trying to catch him, just to say, like, hey, we've got people coming in this afternoon who actually are injured, and so they need to be able to park really close to the office. And so he wasn't there, so I just slid a note in his car and turned to go back to the office, and he's standing in front of me. blocking my way back into the door to our office, and just so angry at me and swearing and how dare you, and why don't you just come and say that to my face. And I think he even said be a man at one point, and I was like, I can't do that.
He did. This is a great story. I'm glad you remembered that.
And I went into the reaction of, how dare you, and I'm the injured party and I'm doing the right thing. And I gave myself that space, and I just started choosing to just watch, and I just watched him. And as I was watching him, I thought, oh, your hands are trembling. Oh, you're scared. Oh, you did something wrong. That's why you're angry. Oh, okay. And so and he was talking about how his parking spot was terrible and people scratched his truck all the time and he had every right to move it. And I just looked at him and I said, I think you take really good care of that. You must love that truck, don't you? And he shook his head like a dog coming out of water and went, what? And I said, yeah, you take really good care of that truck. He goes, yeah, that's my baby. And I said, yeah, I get it. I get why you wouldn't want it. And suddenly we were actually having a conversation, and he invited me in for coffee, and it was suddenly we were having a conversation because I was able to choose just not that, and then wait and see what appeared, because we get way more information than we think we're getting. I mean, our brains filter out so much information. And having that space and knowing we're safe in that space, I think that's part of it too.
Well, and the power of that is it's also safety that we can choose and create for ourselves.
Yeah.
In the moment.
This story too.
Yeah.
See, Dana says smart things. I tell stories. So I had read an article, and actually I'm going to sound like one of those people. I work with a lot of men. I really love the men I work with. So even though I'm telling stories about men who were not being the best men, it's not because I'm anti-men at all. It's because it's so exciting for me when they choose to reclaim the power of being good men rather than having their reactions. And so I was reading an article from a woman in England, I think, where she talked about a game she dubbed Patriarchy Bingo, where she wouldn't step out of the way on the sidewalk.
Another awesome story.
Yeah. And I thought, oh, I'll play that on the way to work. And it was fascinating how many men walked into me. At one point, I saw these two men coming, and one guy was talking quite excitedly to his buddy. And I thought, oh yeah, this guy isn't moving, the one who's on my side of the sidewalk. And so I just stopped, and I put a little smile on my face, and I literally just stood there. And you could see guy number two was looking at me and trying to interrupt his friend, and the guy wouldn't let him interrupt. And he was starting to quietly panic. And then as they approached me, the man in front of me just bumped right into me and almost knocked me over. Now, I've done training at the dojo. I know how to not fall, but I let the impact show before I caught myself. And he looked at me quite astonished, and he said, what are you doing there? And I said, I was standing. And he said, why didn't you move? And I opened my mouth, and his buddy said, I am so sorry. I will explain it to him. And I said, thank you. I really appreciate that. So I kept walking towards work. They kept walking away from me. We're both waiting for the walk sign. I hear ba 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 ba, and then ba 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 ba, and then I hear oh. And the guy turns around and he goes, sorry. I said, that's okay. He goes, I didn't know. And I was like, I believe you. And it was a really lovely moment because he genuinely didn't know. And that space for choice of, okay, how am I going to do this today, gave him the ability to make a choice he wouldn't have run into otherwise, because he wouldn't have had the chance to otherwise. So I think so many times when we try to make ourselves safe, we think we have to fight for safety. And so much of that is, I just get to decide I'm safe. And we can be smart about it, and we can follow our gut instincts. And I wouldn't have done that in an alley at 2 a.m. But this was a bright sunny day, and any idea that I was in danger was not really accurate it was just just years of conditioning. What do you think? You have your thinking face on.
No, I just think that's a great story and reminds me of, again, which is so awesome. Thanks again, Nicole, for this space with you, because we get to really like distill down into, simple terms what it is that we spend 70% of our lives doing, right? Like this is our work, this is what we do, and we spend a lot of time doing it. So it's great to talk about it with each other, in front of you and with you, because it just reminds me of how important and how powerful this stuff is, and not because it's us, but because these principles are things that we feel really privileged to have access to, mostly because we are in a space where people will share their fears with us on a regular basis. And it's amazing to watch people share their fears and tackle their fears and handle their fears.
Isn't it?
And then to do it as much as we do it on a daily basis, day in and day out, for as long as we've done it. We're the ones learning all the time. And one of those things that it reminds me and teaches me consistently is that, and to refer back to Maya Angelou, something that she said, people do what they know how to do then, and when they know better, they do better. At this time,
is it Angelou and I've been saying it wrong this entire time?
Possibly.
I believe so.
Sorry.
We knew what you meant. That's all good.
Yes, everybody. So you see Maya, people go, oh yeah. And I know she wouldn't be fussed about it.
That's
not the type of person that would be fussed about it.
That's true.
But that idea of when you give people a better option, not every time, but a lot more of the time than you expect, they'll take it. If you feel the power of understanding your own reactions and being able to make a choice to respond with the information that those reactions give you, not to just immediately make the impulsive short-term gratification choice that reaction makes you feel like you're entitled to, but to have that thought for a second that says, like in the example I gave earlier, this guy just pushed me. And if I'm a tough guy and I'm a man, or I'm not going to take any crap from a man, I'm going to push him back. That's a reaction, because you can only do what's been done to you when you react. But the moment you feel the power and the freedom and the space of just hitting a pause long enough to ask yourself the question that, well, what if that had nothing to do with me? What if that was not about me personally? All of a sudden you open up all the choice that's available to you. And you might, in that situation, and I can certainly attest to this in my days when I was working in security and bouncing in nightclubs and concerts and events, where I had people push me all the time. Sometimes it's because they didn't know I was there. Sometimes it's because they thought I was somebody different than they thought I was. Sometimes, especially with the guys that I worked with, the guys and girls that I worked with, they pushed me to keep me safe. Right. So I'd be engaging with somebody, and then I'd be pushed from behind and turn around ready to fight to the death. And I'd see that it was one of my colleagues or one of the people I worked with that pushed me out of the way because someone just hucked a beer bottle across the room. And if they didn't push me, it was going to hit me in the head. So that real world value, right, of understanding that not everything's about me, right?
Yeah.
Not everything that happens around me and to me is because I personally am responsible for it. That space and freedom that you get when you recognize even that as a possibility, and then you lean into that and you explore that, you understand how important that can be, because it restores your true power, which is the choice to control how you react to something by responding. Is so amazing that you get into a momentum of that. You just want to share that with everyone. And you can share that with everyone through your daily actions. Not like you're trying to be out there teaching, trying to teach the world because you know better, but just because you're saying, hey, this makes me feel better. I'm going to act in this manner. And I hope that as I engage you, you're going to realize that I'm doing something different than you expected. You came at me aggressively. I came at you with a question, right? Because your expectation, because of your fear, you were expecting that aggression was the only way that you could move through this situation that was scaring you. And that therefore I was going to react in that same manner and be aggressive back. and whoever could have the bigger aggression would win, quote unquote. But the problem is with that is that everybody walks away a loser in that situation. When you give a person the alternative that says, hey, I'm not really cool with the fact that you pushed me, I don't understand why, what's going on? It's literally stops people in their tracks. Why? Because intuitively and innately, whether they can speak to it with this language or not, they know that you're offering them another option.
So I think as part of that too, and I think we'll actually get into this more in the next few shows. One of the things that I've certainly seen and we've talked about in the past quite often is how many people, but especially how many women, are afraid of reclaiming power for themselves. And it's quite often a subconscious thing, because if you ask women, are you kidding? I'd love to be listened to. I'd love to make the same amount of money as a man. I'd love to, da, da, da. But a lot of times when we don't take that step and say the thing or give ourselves the space or just assume that we have the power to do something differently, there's a lot in there that has been trained out. And I mean, we'll talk about inherited trauma in one of the next shows, because there's just so much depth and richness there. And the short version being, you can inherit trauma. But when you look at what life has been like for everybody, there's going to be inherited trauma. I mean, trauma is about 35 to 70% heritable. But again, from what I see in the clinic, about 70%. And so many times women did not have any institutionalized power. So if you couldn't own land and you couldn't have a bank account and you couldn't have a key to the house and you didn't have any rights and you couldn't ask for a divorce and you could, like, if you just didn't have any power, then stepping up and choosing differently and maybe ticking off the people with the power, you get one shot at it, right? So, because after that, you might lose everything, including your home, including your children, including possibly your life. So you store up your one shot at having power. And that kind of trauma is going to get passed down. And the challenge with an inherited trauma like that is we may consciously disagree with it, but our body continues to react as if it's true. So that's where we come back to feelings are great information, but they're not facts. Because in that moment, Dana and I were having not an argument, because we don't argue. We were having a disagreement the other night. And he just asked me.
I'm a delight.
And he just asked me a question, because I said something and he said, oh, isn't it this? And I felt a full body rush of, okay, I'm in danger now. I've got to fight. And then when I gave myself that space, I went, yeah, we're talking about what to do with a box in the living room. Like, I'm pretty sure there's no danger here. And giving myself full permission to go, so that isn't about him. That isn't about present time. And I definitely get to choose a different response here, because I'm pretty sure he's not going to be all in a state of ire if I say, why don't we move this empty box out of the living room? I see you nodding as if, yes, thank you for getting on the same page with my lack of anger.
I'm glad we just defeated the dangerous empty box.
So
Love it.
I think in the weeks to come, that's what one of the things we'll be talking about.
Yes, love it. Love it, love it, love it, love it. Here's where we're at, guys. And we're going to shift things around a little bit, all right? So we're at the very tippy top of the hour, but we're going to talk to you about your gifts for the soul next. We're going to leave this
awesome.
on this recording, this show, as your quote-unquote shameless self-promotion, but we're also going to paste it into our Gifts for the Soul 2025 program. So is there anything else you want to say before we shift into that?
No, just that I love having these conversations, and thank you.
Me too.
Oh God,
Fantastic.
I'm just so the whole hour, just every time you guys are on, I'm like, thank you, upstairs team, for finding
Yeah.
me. I mean, my God, right in my own backyard too, no less, right?
Oh my gosh. Neighbors.
It's crazy.
Cannot
how
believe how
this all
fast the
works.
time goes.
Right? And it does.
so
It
quickly.
just, you bat up an eyeball and it's gone. But here's what we're going to do. Let's shift it in because you guys are also in our Gifts for the Soul 2025 program. The whole
Yeah,
being
so
idea
excited
of
about
that is, yeah, like giving with purpose, like something literally potentially life changing as opposed to some tacky Christmas shirt at the mall, right? I mean, big difference.
Another
Big
pair of
difference.
socks or a Christmas sweater. Yeah.
Right? Oh, so this is huge, right? So we're just gonna dive right in. Are you guys ready?
We are
Yeah, absolutely.
raring to go. Thanks, dude.
Okay, here we go. So what is your gift for the soul?
Yeah, I think we've actually updated it since
Oh,
we first started thinking about it. So
Pretty inspiring.
we were originally thinking of offering as a way of introduction to the News for the Soul listeners, because we are new and people don't know us as well, and
yeah.
it can be it
You
takes
guys
time
still have
to get
that
to
new
know.
host smell.
That's right. That's right.
Well, and it can take time to get to know new people, and it can be, I mean, I have a genuine period of mourning every time they change Doctor Who or the Doctor Who companions.
Oh, isn't that
because-
awful?
Right?
Yeah,
I'm
it's
like,
worse.
but
I
It's the
hate
worst.
that.
Yeah. Why are you making me say goodbye now?
and getting geared up for a new person, and you're like, no, I like the old Doctor. I'm not gonna like the new Doctor. I'm not gonna like the new companion.
And then we love the new doctor. Yeah, I know.
And then
Yeah,
we love
right?
I'm familiar.
Every time. Got me again.
Yep.
So we wanted to give the News for the Soul listeners an easier way into getting to know us. So there's always, free YouTube videos and a ton of stuff there. But if there's anything on our instant access courses, so the short ones, the long ones, we were originally going to do until the end of January, but then we thought we'd just do it for the whole year.
Yeah.
That it's 50% off for the discount code NFTS, News for the Soul, for every online course that we have.
Okay.
So
now you got to tell us about every course you have and what the benefit is of taking them. Ready, go.
Yeah, so the only thing on there that it doesn't apply to is the practitioner training, because obviously that's not instant access.
Yeah.
But we have really short master classes. I mean, for us, it's short, it's an hour and a half. There's one on money, there's one on inherited trauma, there's one on fear. So yeah, I am a nerd. So anytime we've done a master class, I've crammed, weeks and months of research into as short a period of time as possible. And then I point at Dana and say something smart, and he does. So there are those classes. There's NAP 101. So NAP, which we'll do in the future when we're on here, is a clearing technique you can use on yourself. And
love it.
Yeah, so it's, again, NAP 101 teaches you how to do it. It gives you the script. We've got a 6-week online your own pace class called Why. And that one was so fun to do because we were approaching, we had so many people come up to us and talk about, oh, I need to lose weight, I need to lose weight. And rather than, well, yes, there's something wrong with you, you need to lose weight, we approached it from, actually, can we just get you having a better body image, feeling good about yourself, and clearing out the habits that are probably the habits that are keeping the extra weight on anyway. And so we have a 6-week course that's recorded and it's up there. And it was so fun watching people change.
Whew.
Wow.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Like, actually pretty mind-blowing in terms of just how deeply people engaged in that work.
Mm-hmm.
It was stunning. We learned a lot from participating with the group of folks that went through that first one.
And the stories coming back from people too, where they were the things that were changing, but they didn't try to change them.
Mm-hmm.
And I think any place where we can, again, reclaim our right to sovereignty and our right to just feel good about ourselves, that's what that class is.
And to know that we're choosing to, that's the power of it as well.
Yeah.
The awareness of like, hey, I'm going to choose to treat myself like I'm worth something.
Right. People don't realize how many dynamics are behind, like, especially like the weight thing.
Yeah,
It's so layered, and it's not just
incredibly.
about, cutting down calories or something. There's a lot going on there energetically.
There really is.
Yeah.
Really is. So much.
And we're also going to be, we don't have the title yet because we're still working on it. We've got a really fabulous, exciting new class that we're going to launch in January, I believe. And so that'll be up there too. And if I get my act together enough, one of the things that we do with classes is when people come in and do classes with us, the amount of courage is incredible, and people choose to be really vulnerable.
Oh, I love that.
And so one of the ways that we want to respect that is, rather than just taping the class and plunking it up there on the website, we have edited out people's responses. So you get our information, and then we either summarize people's responses, but they're not on video, or if we think their words are important, I mean, words are always important. We've actually, it's one of the, I think it's a good use of AI. We've assigned an AI voice so that nobody can go, oh, that's Janet from work. Crazy Janet. I didn't know.
Yeah.
Love it.
So there's always that extra safety net there for people.
Safety, and then some more safety.
Yeah, no kidding.
We're so inspired and moved by that courage and vulnerability that we absolutely, it's our inspired duty to protect it and make sure that people always feel that that's what they're stepping into when they step into any space with us.
Yeah,
that's beautiful.
So we did a course called Money Matters. That was a 6-week course that we're still in the process of editing to make sure there's all those lovely layers of safety. So that will be on there at some point, and we'll make sure that the code applies to it as well. But there is a master class for Money Matters and talking about the background of where a lot of money trauma and choices come from. So that's up there now.
Wow. Well, that sounds life-changing. Which is what we're looking for. That's how this whole thing started. I was doing Christmas with my kids, and I was so tired of these mountains of meaningless stuff presents, every year. I mean, I went out, well, go big or go home. That's my thing, right? And they would literally like stop halfway through unwrapping things, going, "My arms are tired. Can I take a break?" And it was just ridiculous. And then we just have this mountain of meaningless crap at the end of it. And I thought, no, let's do life. Like every gift has to be potentially life changing. And my oldest child was in a fetal position crying in the corner by the end of it, but it was awesome. And that's actually how I started belly dance, which it changed my life completely. So, because I signed my oldest daughter up and thought, well, I can't do that, send her on her alone on that, so I'll go too.
That's amazing. And how long have you been teaching for now?
Oh my God, like 20 years. We literally showed up, and I was pretty old by then, right? So it was, it's not like I had a background in dance or anything whatsoever. We showed up. It was this horrific rec center class at 8 a.m. on a Sunday. Who does that? And so we show up. We're cranky and tired, and our arms folded over our chest, and standing in the back row. And the teacher's going, "Have you belly danced before?" And we're going, "No." Stupid question. Within 3 weeks, we were choreographing our own stuff. And within 6 weeks, we were performing in public, me and my daughter as duets. And it was crazy. And
that's awesome.
I never looked back. Yeah. So life-changing gifts are really important to really put that heart and soul and intent and all the things you're talking about. These are the things people are working on and need help on.
Yeah. Thank you. And I know I've been talking more than you have, Dana, but it's so weird to call you Dana.
What do you usually call them?
In my family, this is how you know that you care about someone, is you don't call them by their name. So I would hear, with most kids, if you hear your first and middle and last name, you're in trouble. With Colleen, I was like, oh, I'm in trouble, because it wasn't, Collie Wally Doodle all the day, or so yeah, I never call you Dana. It's a little odd. But
that's funny.
but yeah, the way we've chosen the courses is we've gone, okay, so if we look at the last 5 years, what are the things that people have come in and really needed the most help with and really move forward the most once we're able to give them some tools and some different viewpoints, and that's the stuff that we've been doing classes on, and that's what's on the instant access page. Because like you say, like life change, like we all want to do better. We just don't always know how.
Especially now. Not only that,
Yeah.
things that used to work for us no longer work. This is
Yeah.
a whole new game right now. So
Yep.
having new people like you guys and new information and new experiences is literally life-changing for people.
Yeah, thank you. And so much of that, like a lot of what you'll see on that instant access page is around fear and trauma, and it probably reads like, well, this is going to be a downer, but but it's because so many of us have got those inherited patterns and those learned patterns of trauma and reacting out of fear, that when we get to break that open, when we have the information on that we can choose a different response, we get the information on how to choose a different response. And one of the things that I like about Dana's stuff so much is that he gives people those things that are easy to remember in the moment when you're triggered.
That's key right there. Is like having some
Crucial.
go-to something, right? Yeah. So you don't go down the rabbit hole and fucking, end up in crap mode again.
Yep.
Because we know as conscious people, we go, oh crap, I shouldn't be thinking like that. But we do, and then you're going down the rabbit hole, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely. The shame spiral. And
Ugh.
you're buried at the bottom, stuck in a
Yeah.
bunch of sludge and
Yeah.
feeling hopeless.
And if we're all being honest, we all do it at some point.
Of course.
All of us, no matter how long
Absolutely.
we've been doing this work.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, and even,
And there's no shame in that either.
yeah.
Right?
It's part of the human experience.
I mean, it's
Yeah,
hard. It's
that's
hard,
what
right?
the celebration
Especially
is.
right now. It's freaking hard.
It
Yeah.
really is.
Absolutely.
And I've seen the power too many times to give up on the idea that giving people the possibility that they don't totally suck is miraculous. Miraculous.
Yeah.
And people are like, wait, it's like, I mean, all this terrible stuff that I feel like has happened, like, it's not about me. And even just the possibility that
It's all our conditioning.
exactly
Right?
that little sliver of hope lets the daylight in.
Yes.
And then people start remembering that darkness is kind of an illusion. It only exists in the absence of light.
Yes.
Remember that you're the source of light. Well, then you can light up anywhere that you are. And we're not saying that that's going to miraculously change your conditions in the moment, but it's going to make you feel a little
It could.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
just
Right. There's
saying.
that possibility. It could, and it's going to immediately make you feel a little better. And if you start stringing together a bunch of little moments of light and a bunch of little momentum of I feel a little bit better than I did the moment before, you'd be amazed at how your hope returns and your courage starts to flourish.
It's that whole old Abraham Hicks thing. You hang on to the next highest vibration
So
that you have access to for a certain amount of time, and boom, you're there. Then
there
you
you go.
the next one, right?
There you go.
And I swear, if there's one theme that we go back to in all the classes and in all the work we're doing, and we'll talk about this in the upcoming weeks as well, is the phrase "you should be ashamed" is the biggest lie.
Oh, and that's the lowest energy, isn't it?
It
Yeah,
absolutely is.
I know.
And so many of us were taught that we have to be. Right, we have to be a good person. I'm so ashamed that I did X, Y, and Z. No.
Yuck.
Yeah, that just leaves you stuck. And even reclaiming that
is huge.
It's huge. It's huge. I can't tell you how many people have come in and have waited until they really, really, really believe they can trust us, and then say, okay, now I'll tell you the thing that I'm really ashamed of.
Oh.
And like 1 time out of 10, it's okay, well, like, let's dig into this a little. 9 times out of 10, it's a little bit of, and not in a bad way, but, oh, is that it? Oh, okay, cool. That's not bad.
Right.
So
we're all human, and there's a reason we're going through this, and there's a solution, right?
Absolutely.
Well, and shame, unfortunately, is the energy that people take in internally because it's taught, it's not innate to a human being.
No, we're
that-
conditioned from birth.
Absolutely, that allows them to go into agreement with the idea that they should be treated worthlessly.
Yeah.
And I
I
often
was big time programmed with that, like
Oh.
abandoned at birth, and then
Yep.
I ended up with these adoptive parents that were really abusive, and they were always like, you know, you're lucky we chose you, and you know, I
Oh.
always had to have this sort of secondary level citizenship below them, you know.
Right.
I
Yeah.
was crap that was rescued, and you're lucky, and you know, and I always had like literally, they would even set the table and they'd have a shitty knife. I always got the shitty knife because I was the less than, right? I mean, just
Oh,
subtle, weird things, right?
yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And what that does, I mean, we talk all the time about, you know, negativity bias and negative neural nets getting stronger. You need a negativity bias to survive that kind of childhood.
Yeah.
Ooh.
And anything you do learn as a kid to survive, you should never be ashamed of because it worked,
Yeah.
right? You're here,
I
you're
took
doing
through
this.
it.
Yeah. So we had to celebrate whatever you had to do to get here.
Yeah. Well, I know, you know, that's the thing is when we've gone through that kind of stuff, it's made you stronger. For me, it's made, I don't know what that sound was just now. It's made me strong. It's made me like, I know that all of my intuitive skills came out of a, you know, survival of having
Yeah.
eyes on the back of my head. So because I was literally, you know, I could get beaten out of the, you know, any moment.
Yep.
I
Yep.
didn't know when it was coming, right? So there's positives in that, but this stuff is so ingrained in us from, I would say even pre-birth.
Yeah, I
Mhm.
would
We
agree.
come in with this crap, right?
There's
Absolutely.
lots of
And
science that supports that now too, more and more and more, actually.
yeah, it's crazy.
Mm.
Well, even if you think of, you know, pre-birth, how stressed was your birth mother, well, any amount of stress is going to be having cortisol and adrenaline and et cetera flushing through the body.
Oh, right.
There you are at age 1 day being bathed in cortisol.
Even before. My
Mm.
earliest memory was in the womb, entering the womb, and I think it probably, if I was intuitively to guess, it would be in the first trimester.
Mm, yeah. And
Which also is supported by science too.
yeah, and was it a good memory or a hard
No,
one?
actually, it was, well, okay, let me tell you.
Brief story. So
So
I
I
remember
remember
literally
literally
my
my
body.
body.
I don't know why there's an echo.
That's
There
funny
is
that's when it
that
started.
started exactly as you started to tell us this.
Oh my
It's like,
God. Okay.
that's not a coincidence.
right. Let me see if I
Yeah.
can echo. Check. Okay, I think it stopped. Um, I remember entering the body or entering the womb. And I remember my entire body stature and where I was. And I remember going, okay, I'm in. So I'm like reporting to someone. And
Hmm.
in the very next nanosecond, I went, oh yeah, I'm claustrophobic. So that sucked. And then the very next thought was, oh yeah, there's only one way out of this, which is some horrible death of getting squished by big things. So,
Hmm.
so it was very up and then it was very down.
Right.
Yeah,
Interesting.
I know, right? Makes you think.
Yeah, no kidding. Well, and especially like even when we're talking about trauma, that reporting back, okay, I'm in, and
Right?
then they basically go, cool, you're on your own now.
Yeah. And you're gonna get squished by big things eventually. Just
Right?
but
Welcome to the world.
Yeah.
right? But that's the core of our reality is knowing that we're non-permanent,
Hmm.
that we're going to eventually get squished by big things or whatever, right? I mean, it's huge when you think about this
Yeah.
from a conscious perspective.
Yeah. And when you give yourself the space to go, okay, well, that's scary. I'm allowed to be scared, and feelings aren't facts. And now what am I going to do?
Right?
We used to watch a TV show, I don't think it's been on for years, called Dude, You're Screwed. And
I've never heard of that. What is
Great show.
that? Oh my
and it
God.
was like a British special forces guy in Navy SEAL, but basically these people who knew how to survive, and they would gang up on one of them every episode and kidnap them from wherever and then drop
Oh
them
my
somewhere in the
God.
world with like 3 or 5 items that may be useful and may not be, and they had to find their way to a town, or they lost. They didn't lose anything. It was just, I guess, the bet. And they had them wired up so that if they got too sick to go on, or if their heart rate got too high or too low, then they lost as well. So
Oh my.
I'm watching these people go, okay, so guess I'm in blah 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 country because of this, that, and the other. I need water. Like, I'm gonna have my moment of my emotions and yell at my buddies for leaving me. When they left him in the somewhere with a lot of snow, and he yelled at them because they left him a stuffed teddy bear, a bowling ball, and a tube of lipstick
In the Arctic Circle.
in the Arctic Circle. Yeah,
I'm
and
sure
so he
that
had
helped
them.
a lot.
Yeah.
And he had the moment of like, guys, what the crap? And then going, okay, the bowling ball was a red herring. I'm leaving it here. I'm taking the lipstick because it's full of oil and I'm going to be able to use it to light a fire with.
Oh.
Right? So in those moments when you give yourself that space to choose differently, your brain comes up with all sorts of fabulous ideas.
Incredible resourcefulness, right?
Yeah.
Mm.
Although he did look fetching. He took the stuffing out of the bear and wore it as a jacket.
I love that. I've got to Google that later now. But
was a
bottom
great
line,
show.
okay, what you guys are offering, these courses and stuff, potentially literally life-changing. Have you sent me the info so I can get this posted on News for the Soul?
Yes, I'll resend it because again, we were
Please
originally
resend.
doing it for a short period of time, but now we want to do it all year.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I'll
Yay!
resend it with the date update.
So you've heard it now. They're going to do it all year. Woo! And we'll post that on newsforthesoul.com. These guys are working from a deep, authentic level. So feel into this, read into this, hear this again, and know that this is a good idea.
Thank you.
That's awesome, Nicole. Thank you so much.
Well, you guys are awesome. I've sent you the upgrade link for weekly, by the way.
Thank you.
Because you know what? This has not, I gotta tell you, this has not happened before. Where I just kind of went, nope, that's not right. Nope, that's not right. And just, you're supposed to be here more often. So let's do this.
Love it.
Sure feels that way.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh God, I love my upstairs team. Oh God, I love them.
You have a great upstairs team.
I have an amazing. Well, I got to tell you, I kind of pictured them as like oh, what do you call it when? Oh God, what's that called? The word is escaping me right now, but just kind of a high intensity sort of telemarketer room where they're like, they're drinking bourbon straight out of the cup and they're chain smoking, going, "What the fuck is going on down there?" That's my upstairs team because I didn't know anything about anything. And they just kind of, oh God, here we go again. What's she doing now? So
those are the kind of that's the kind of support that gets things done.
Yeah.
It does.
Those people make things happen, man.
Yeah, they kick butt. And so that's awesome. And you guys are coming from such a wonderful, authentic, deep place.
Oh,
I'm
thank you so much.
grateful they found you. Oh,
we're grateful you found us. We're grateful we found you.
Yeah.
It's I was just thinking that, part of what we're talking about sums up in exactly what you just said. If we can, we want to remind people that they can be the light that they're looking for. And if you're looking for light, don't ever forget, when you choose it, light's looking for you as well. So
what you want wants you.
Yeah, absolutely. Right? Control your focus, shift your mindset, give yourself the possibility that future you is really highly worth something, and don't give up on yourself so easily.
Yes. Yeah. Oh my God. Literally beside myself. I love you guys. The Digital Dojo is all linked up at newsforthesoul.com, and their gift for the soul will be posted. Resend, guys, so I can make sure it's there.
For sure, we'll do. Yeah.
And we'll make it happen.
We're really excited to do that.
Awesome.
Yay. And coming to you weekly. on
That is the
Thursday.
direction, I think.
I'm
It's
so
not
excited.
already written,
So
already done.
all right, guys.
Awesome.
Thanks for being here today. I know we went a little over, but that's
okay.
All right, guys. You take
We-
enjoy the ride, and we'll talk to you. Well, maybe next week.
Sounds
amazing.
awesome.
Thank you. Talk soon.
Thanks.
The Digital Dojo, all linked up at newsforthesoul.com. Cannot recommend this more.